Imagine having a job where you reset bowling pins for a living, or risked life and limb pushing logs down a river. Today we take a look at 10 odd jobs from the 20th century that no longer exist. Before the invention of machines to do the job, bowling alleys used people known as pinsetters to reset the pins after each player's turn. These workers would quickly clear fallen pins and place new ones in position for the next ball. This job was very common, especially among young men and boys looking for part-time work. However, in 1936, the first mechanical pin setter was invented by Gottfried Schmidt, which changed the game completely. Over time, these machines became more popular because they could set the pins faster and more accurately than humans. The invention of the mechanical pin setter not only made bowling alleys more efficient, but also helped make bowling a more popular sport across the world. Back in the day, milk delivery was a common service because many homes didn't have refrigeration. Milkmen would deliver fresh milk to homes daily, ensuring that families could enjoy this staple without worrying about it spoiling. They delivered milk in glass bottles, which were then cleaned and reused, making the process both efficient and environmentally friendly. The milkman's role was crucial in the community, as they provided a reliable source of fresh milk and other perishables like butter and eggs. However, with the rise of supermarkets and refrigeration, the need for daily milk delivery faded. About 30% of milk was still delivered to homes in the 1960s, showing how essential this service was even as technology began to change daily life. Elevator operators were people hired specifically to run manually operated elevators. They needed to have a good sense of timing to stop the elevator level with each floor, making the job quite skilled. Back in the day, these operators not only managed the elevator's speed and doors, but also acted as greeters and tour guides in department stores, announcing different departments and special offers. With the invention of the push-button elevator, the job of elevator operator became almost obsolete. However, some historic buildings and certain modern-day situations still require the services of elevator operators. In 2017, over 50 buildings in New York City still employed elevator operators, mainly in luxury apartment buildings on the Upper East and West Sides of Manhattan. The Linotype machine, invented in 1884, was a groundbreaking invention that changed the printing industry forever. It was a line casting machine that created lines of metal type all at once, making the process of setting type for newspapers, books, and posters much faster and more efficient than the manual letter-by-letter setting that came before it. Operators would type out lines of text on a keyboard, and the machine would then cast these lines into metal slugs that could be used for printing. This machine was a staple in the printing industry from the late 19th century until the 1970s and 1980s, when it was replaced by photo typesetting and digital typesetting technologies. The Linotype machine was so efficient that a small number of operators could set type for an entire newspaper, revolutionizing how quickly newspapers could be produced. Cigarette girls were people who sold cigarettes from trays attached to their necks, often seen in Europe and the United States. They wore distinctive uniforms, usually a short skirt above the knee and a matching pillbox hat, and sometimes they were called candy girls because they also sold snacks and gum. These girls were not just sellers, they were also meant to be eye-catching and would flirt with customers to earn tips. Their popularity soared in the 1920s and continued into the 1940s, especially in nightclubs, theaters, and sports events. However, when cigarette machines became widespread in the mid-1950s, the need for cigarette girls decreased, and they largely disappeared from public view. Some casinos and nightclubs, especially on the Las Vegas Strip, still employ cigarette girls today. Gandy dancers were railroad workers in the U.S. who laid and maintained railroad tracks before machines took over the job. These workers, often recent immigrants or ethnic minorities, worked in tough conditions for low pay, but their job was crucial for railroads' operation. They used a 5-foot lining bar, known as a Gandy, to align the tracks, a task that required precise coordination and physical strength. The term Gandy Dancer itself has uncertain origins, but it might be related to the tools that they used or dancing movements that they made while working. Despite the hard work and low pay, being a Gandy dancer was a respected job among peers. Popular blues songs of the era praised marrying a railroad man for the steady income it provided, reflecting the cultural impact of these workers. Switchboard operators were crucial in the early days of telephones, connecting calls by plugging phone cords into the right jacks on a manual switchboard. They helped people communicate before the invention of automatic dialing systems. These operators were mostly women because companies found them to be more polite to callers, and they were paid less than men. The job of a switchboard operator was phased out as technology advanced, making way for automated systems that allowed direct dialing without human help. The first female telephone operator, Emma Nutt, started working on September 1, 1878, and was known for her ability to remember every number in the telephone directory of the New England Telephone Company. The iceman was a popular job in the 1800s and early 1900s, especially before refrigerators became common in homes. These workers had the chilly task of cutting large blocks of ice from frozen lakes and rivers during the winter. Then they stored the ice in insulated warehouses to keep it frozen until it was needed in the warmer months. People used this ice to keep their food cold in ice boxes, which were like early versions of our fridges. The iceman would deliver ice blocks right to people's homes, making sure everyone could keep their food fresh. The iceman had to use special tools, like large saws and tongs, to handle and transport the ice without it melting too quickly. Log driving was a method used to transport logs from forests to sawmills and pulp mills by floating them down rivers. This was a common practice in the logging industry in Europe and North America before the development of railroads and trucks. Log drivers, also known as river pigs, played a crucial role in guiding the logs along the river, ensuring that they didn't jam or get stuck. These men were highly skilled and worked in dangerous conditions, often risking their lives to break up log jams, using tools like peaveys and sometimes dynamite. The job required not only physical strength, but also a good understanding of physics and extreme agility. Changes in environmental legislation during the 1970s led to the end of most log driving activities in the US and Canada. Back in the day before we had electronic computers, a computer was actually a job title for people, mostly women, who did complex calculations by hand. These human computers played a crucial role in scientific research, including astronomy, engineering, and even the early space program. They used pencils, paper, and mathematical tables to work out the numbers that would later help send astronauts into space. This job was both challenging and critical, requiring accuracy and a strong foundation in mathematics. As electronic computers became more advanced and widespread, the need for human computers decreased. The movie Hidden Figures tells the story of 3 African-American women who worked as human computers at NASA, highlighting their significant contributions to the space race. So, what odd jobs did you have in the past? Drop a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this American Rewind video, go ahead and watch the next one.